Welcome to the Three Geeks podcast. Oh my.
Thank you for that intro, George. My name is Jason, joined by Max, Dan, and Mike. You can check out Mike on youtube.com/Mike McGTV. If you've noticed, I've stopped introducing Mike as a guest because Mike is now part of the podcast, like officially. I think that's been going on for quite a while. But you can check us out if you don't like looking at our lovely faces. You can go to iTunes and Stitcher. You don't have to look at us. You can just listen to us. And speaking of listening, tonight's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Just go to audibletrial.com/3geeks for all of your audiobook needs. Max, tell them a little bit more about Audible.
So it's like this. One of these days, you're thinking about reading a book. You don't know which book you're going to pick. You're like, where can I go for over 180,000 possible titles? And you say, oh, Audible.com. Now, not only do you have all these wonderful books at your fingertips, you don't even have to read them, okay? For a lazy guy like me, this is the selling point. You don't have to do any of the work. There's no page turning. There's no swiping. There's no tapping. You just listen to this awesome book, and you get all the enjoyment with none of the work. So Audible.com, they got a bunch of books for you to. I mean, we need to find out if George Takei has read any books for Audible, because that's probably awesome.
George, have you read any books from Audible?
That depends. Is my autobiography on there? Do some quick research because I didn't. But I wholeheartedly recommend you check out anything by Leonard or myself. To hell with Bill's book.
Speaking of Bill, though, if you want something to help you fall asleep, Bill Shatner does read a lot of books on Audible, specifically Star Trek books that he wrote. So I would definitely go check that out. Sabotage is how he says sabotage too.
That doesn't surprise me that people fall asleep to Bill's voice.
I've actually been watching a lot of Bob Ross on Netflix to go to sleep. That is the perfect. He just lulls you to sleep with his steady, even voice and his happy little accidents.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one watching Bob Ross. That's fantastic.
Dude, that guy's awesome.
What the hell are you talking about?
He makes miracles happen on the canvas.
He really does, man. He could take that blank canvas and turn it into a piece of art in under 30 minutes. That right there is something special.
Happy trees.
Happy trees. But, yeah, so we're here, and we're ready to talk. And we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to take this first, talk about what I did a little bit this weekend. I watched Sharknado 4. Me and my wife have been talking about getting cable for quite a while, and I ripped that Band-Aid off this week so I could enjoy Sharknado 4, and boy, did I. The plot is gone. There is no more plot. Not that there really was one prior. The silliness is completely through the roof now. Like, there is no plot. I don't want to get into too much spoilers. All I'm going to say is that at one point, there is actually a nuclear NATO. Yes, a nuclear NATO that started here in Ohio. So that was something. I was really excited. Nuclear, yeah. What?
Say nuclear.
Nuclear. But that's not what they call it on the show. They call it a nuclear NATO.
Nuclear NATO?
That anyway, yeah.
Not nuclear NATO?
Yes. Anyway, it was fun. Check it out if you're into the rest of the Sharknado franchise. But Max, smartass, what did you do this weekend?
My weekend was a lot of Magic the Gathering and Pokemon Go.
Nice. Did you go to the park?
No, I went to that street by Riverside, or like right by Riverside Drive. It was kind of like a park, but we didn't stop. We were just in the car, just doing circles because we're super lazy. But yeah, it was game day this weekend. So I was at VGMX playing some Magic the Gathering.
Nice. Dan, you did anything fun this weekend?
As our fact-checking department, George Takei does read several books on Audible.
Yes.
Some of them are Star Trek books. One is read with Leonard Nimoy. Two are read with Leonard Nimoy. Nice. I played Destiny all weekend, pretty much. I Couldn't really tell you why. I just like shooting the aliens.
Mike, anything fun? Eventful?
Well, my laptop was in the shop for the week, so it'll be good to get back to some video making next week. But I otherwise kept myself preoccupied with a lot of Netflix. I had like a early '90s, mid '90s revisiting with like every first episode from every Star Trek series. Started off with the original series, did the Next Generation first episode, which I'm just like, man, this kind of sucks.
It did.
Deep Space Nine, I was actually like, oh, I'm really kind of, I'm invested in this, even though I'd only seen episodes here and there of Deep Space Nine. Voyager, I started kind of losing a little bit on. Enterprise, I'm like, this is stupid. And then did a bunch of early '90s movies. Watched a little Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, a little Basic Instinct. Watched Christopher Nolan's first movie, Following. And wrapped it all up today by starting up Aquarius, which is that series that David Duchovny's on right now, which is about the late '60s and Charlie Manson. So fun.
Nice. I'm sure we can go to youtube.com/Mike McG to find out your thoughts of it when you're done. So that should be fun. Anyway, big news. First, let's start with the unfortunate tragic loss of Mr. Kenny Baker, R2-D2. Passed away at 83. A nice long life this guy led, and probably the stories he could tell. But Max, your thoughts on hearing about the passing of Kenny Baker?
It's sad, at least, it's not like Anton Yelchin, who, was so young. This guy, he's an older guy. He's been around. So, it's sad. I'm just, 2016 has been kind of brutal. So we lost Akbar and R2-D2 this year out of Star Wars universe, and my condolences to the family. Hopefully, everybody's getting on and just doing the do. But it's sad. It's a bad situation when anyone dies. So.
Dan?
I'm with Max. He had a long life. He played R2-D2. It's sad that he's gone.
All right, let's go to our resident Mike.
Eulogist.
He's good at these.
I don't know if that's such a great thing that I'm now known as that, but
You're gonna do the eulogy at my funeral.
not if I die first.
Well, hopefully you don't.
Well, may the best man win, whatever that means. Kenny Baker, it always surprised me later on when I found out that it wasn't just a robot, an actual robot being operated in those movies, that actually was a person underneath that, and it was a person who kind of developed the very characteristic movements of R2 that we would come to know. And the fact that he was very candid about it too. He told a lot of stories out of school and was very honest about the experience, like how when they first shot that first Star Wars, that Tunisia was just a nightmare for him to be in that suit. But also that apparently he and Anthony Daniels didn't get along at all in real life. So that's kind of puts an interesting color on whenever you see C-3PO and R2-D2 together on screen, is that those actors actually hate each other. But still, a consummate professional who carried through with the job and put a lot of thought into what could have been a one-note character, but really made it kind of endearing and lovable. And actually, we have Kenny Baker to thank for Warwick Davis, because inadvertently he was supposed to originally play, what was the name? Wicket from Return of the Jedi, the premier Ewok, like the standout Ewok. Originally that was supposed to be Kenny Baker, but he had food poisoning or something, and so they replaced him with this little 10-year-old boy named Warwick Davis. So thank you for that, being able to sacrifice a little bit of the screen time for another person, Kenny. So that way he can make a lot of Leprechaun films. But guy, from what I've heard, the dude was always a professional, always very kind of well-mannered to people that were well-mannered to him, and apparently had a really wicked sense of humor. Like, he was originally kind of started out as a comedian, I guess, before he got the job as R2-D2. But yeah, we all got to go sometime, and boop beep, good sir. Or actually, what was it? What's sad R2 noise? Woo!
See, none of us could have said it any better than that, Mike. Very, very good.
That's why he is our resident eulogist. Very well spoken, sir.
This next topic is just currently a rumor, but I thought it'd be fun to discuss because it made me happy, and I know it probably made Dan a little happy. But the rumor is Joss Whedon is coming on to direct the musical episode of The Flash and Supergirl as a crossover, and this has been getting some steam on the internet by a lot of reputable sources, so it's worth talking about as somebody who is actually a fan of the Buffy musical, and especially Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. I can't wait to see what... Because this is Whedon's wheelhouse. I mean, take the musical thing out of it for a second. The Flash and Supergirl are the kind of show that you could see Whedon being a part of, and then you just throw that musical element on top, and it gets me really excited. It makes me want to get caught up on both of those shows because I am a little bit behind. But Dan, what are your thoughts on hearing Whedon coming back to the musical world?
I am far behind on both of those shows, but I will catch up if there's a musical episode with Joss Whedon. Yeah, that sounds great. I don't know. Can they throw Constantine in there a little bit? It's like a baritone. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be. Mike?
I think it could be interesting. I mean, it makes sense. You've got Grant Gustin. He got started on Glee, so we know the dude can sing. And Joe was in Rent, so we know that dude can sing. I mean, as long as it makes sense within the show and isn't jumping too shark jumping necessarily, I'll be cool with it. If Whedon does it, sure, why not? The guy knows how to take those stereotypical shark jumping moments and make them work for serialized television. Yeah, just make it fun and engaging. I can see that possibly being a Pied Piper episode, maybe, since Pied Piper has a lot to do with sound and stuff. Maybe that's what happens. Or maybe Barry just fucks up the timeline yet again, and now he's in musical alternate universe. Whatever. Max.
Yeah, I fucking hate the Buffy musical episode. I wouldn't even know it exists except for an ex-girlfriend of mine who fucking listened to that shit religiously. So I can't fucking stand it. I'm not excited about this. I'll probably skip this episode of The Flash. I don't really watch Supergirl at all. I gave it a couple episodes and it didn't really grab me. So I'm not like sad to be behind on that one. But no, I'm just I'm not excited. I'm probably gonna avoid that episode just because I don't want all the fucking show tunes to get stuck in my head.
Max, though, to be fair, you're a fan of Dr. Horrible, right?
Dr. Horrible was good, but you know, like I only watched it like one time, so I don't have a fucking like deep-seated loathing of it because of shoved down my throat. So
You're gonna regret it, Max, because it's going to turn out the musical episode is the episode where all like the major revelations and turning points happen. And you'll be like, God damn it, now I have to watch it.
I guess I'll be down if like Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill show up. That would be pretty cool because they both got pretty good singing voices. But yeah, they're gonna. Nah, I'm not excited. I can't make myself excited for it.
Musical episodes. Sucks. I hate it. They did it to Grey's Anatomy. No, sucks.
You watch Grey's Anatomy?
Yes, I do.
Let's address that subject real quick.
We can do that.
The problem there was that Grey's Anatomy already sucks. So to have a musical episode.
It doesn't matter. Leave the musicals to Glee.
Episode of Downton Abbey.
Blasphemy.
I don't know.
We've missed you, Rondo.
I see.
We didn't see you last week. Yeah, my family, we have the Dr. Horrible sing-along blog soundtrack in my wife's car, and anytime we put it on, the entire family will sing the entire thing for 45 minutes. It's a sight. It is a sight. We all have our own little parts that we do. It's a good time. It's just going to feed into the whole Mike Brady thing with Max a little bit more.
Well, I mean, so you're basically like the family from Step Brothers in the car?
That's right. We're all happy.
Okay, so what if they made like remember the old time like shows where they would have like a 3 hour musical gala on like NBC? Like what if they did that with like all the DC characters?
What they need to do is they need to do what Drew Carey used to
Oh
do when he
yeah.
had his show, which was a live episode, and where basically you get in a bunch of improv people to basically switch the scenarios. So instead it'd be like, okay, Barry, in this scene you're fighting Grodd. Change. Now you're fighting a giant banana. Change. Now you're fighting this, and just to see those people just flip out, that'd be kind of cool.
Which
I'd be
villain is
down
it
for
anyway?
that.
The visual effects would go nuts. Could be fun. But me and Max got into it with one of our coworkers this week on this particular subject, but it looks like Ghostbusters 2 is not happening. The remake cost the studio $100 million. Unfortunately, it's probably due to a lot of internet trolls and the hate that movie received. I don't think it was, validated. The movie was fine. It was a comedy that made you laugh. So, I mean, it's unfortunate because I kind of wish I could see where this would go. Mike?
Also, globally, it wasn't carrying a lot of weight because it was banned in China, and
Oh.
China's a big get for a lot of studios. So, I believe it was banned in China because of the ghost aspect of it. Apparently,
Yes.
they don't allow stuff with ghosts in them in there, so that kind of hurts the box office a lot internationally, and yeah.
I just cannot believe the hate behind the Ghostbusters franchise. Like, you could go to a Star Trek convention dressed as Chewbacca and you would receive less hate than this Ghostbusters movie did. It's crazy to me. Because Max and I were talking to this guy at work and he's, telling us, I'm not going to go see this movie. I've heard it sucks. And we're like, well, where have you heard that? Because, Rotten Tomatoes is giving it good reviews. And he's like, well, I'm not going to see it because remakes suck. And then, me and Max listed a bunch of remakes that were actually pretty good. Captain America is a remake. Scarface is a remake. Max, were you going to say something?
Oh, it's just that it's not even like I heard it sucked. He's like, I'm not going to see that movie. It sucks. How would you know that? Oh, well, I heard this, and that. So you haven't seen it? No. Well, then how do you know it sucks? Like, it's, it got a bunch of hate for no reason. Unfortunately, my coworker is part of the unwatched masses. Who can't stand that movie for no reason.
I'm sure the director and actresses are all boo-hoo-hooing into their big piles of money, and the fact that they don't have to get into those uncomfortable jumpsuits again. I'm sure they're really torn up about it.
My question is, how does that cost $100 million?
It cost more than $100 million. It lost $100 million.
Yeah. I mean, wow.
Well, because I think the budget for it was close to 200, and then the advertising is usually double.
Right.
So it was probably almost a $100 million movie with all the promotional stuff. And Ghostbusters promotion was everywhere.
Yeah. And when you got big areas that just won't show it, that hurts it a lot.
But what I wonder what the budget was for the original Ghostbusters, like, adding for the inflation.
Oh, well, that was Reaganomics, Dan. It was a golden age. For $5, you could have made a Ghostbusters movie in 1984.
Everybody was doing it in their garage. What are you talking about?
Well, the thing that gets me is Ghostbusters 2 is not good. Like, it's not that good. And everyone's like, you're ruining this franchise. You got to get the original people back. And I was like, the original people made a sequel that fucking sucked. I shouldn't say it sucked, but it definitely was not even on par as close to as good as the first one.
Here's what I'll say about Ghostbusters 2 is that, I'll admit it's not as good as the first one. There's stuff about it I appreciate just because of the fact I have a feeling like some people, especially Bill Murray, just their own self-deprecation in that film kind of be like, I can't believe we're doing this shitty kids movie. Like, he has that kind of look about him, and I appreciate that now. But even then, I could kind of tell, this goes back to my whole thing of, this is a franchise that needs to be left alone. I know it's not going to be left alone because there's money still to be bled from it, but this is a franchise in which, I think we've said everything we need to say. And if anything, hopefully this reboot proves that. It's like, yeah, change up the genders, that's fine. Give us some new characters to tackle. They really didn't cover much new territory with regards to the world of Ghostbusters in this movie, and that's what I kind of took away from it, was like, this really, it was okay, but at the same time, there wasn't much more it added to the conversation other than all the controversy it apparently whipped up. But I'm just like, just let the Ghostbusters franchise be.
I want to see a actually legit horror movie, Ghostbusters movie. And then they can use the comedy to kind of like dial it back some. But yeah, I think that's what you need. I think that would be interesting to see, and I would actually definitely go see that. I haven't seen Ghostbusters yet, so maybe I shouldn't even be defending it as hard as I am, because I wouldn't.
Jeez, Max.
Yeah, if they did the actual horror bend, you could have like, oh my God, Winston, your arm's gone, and have like a bloody stump, and then they make a joke about it, and everything's cool.
or like actually funny stuff. They could have like good stuff in there.
Or both.
Or actually scary stuff.
Yeah, see, like real scary stuff.
But yeah, so I think also with the making it all email, like the people just railed against that because we got to drag ourselves into this next century, kicking and screaming. So maybe go halvesies, like maybe equality means equal. I don't know.
I'm just saying, internet, when a majority of people are telling you that something's not bad, maybe you should watch it first before you jump down everybody's throat and say something sucks. That's all I'm saying.
What's fun in that?
Form your own opinion. I mean, we all have different opinions on here. We're not
the DC movies.
We're not we don't care. Suicide Squad's not bad. We don't mind. Ghostbusters is a lot like Suicide Squad, meaning that they're both just okay films. But Rondell's such a hater.
Take down Rotten
They
Tomatoes.
never let me down.
Have you seen Suicide Squad though?
No, I haven't. But
It's
I'm
fun.
I'm sure I'll probably feel the same way about it as I feel about Ghostbusters. It was a decent, good movie. Just not.
No, the movie, the plot
I don't know,
of
I'll
Suicide
see.
Squad sucks. It's the characters in the movie that are get you from point A to point B.
I think the big thing is, and I've said it plenty of times on here, is that being an okay movie doesn't win you any points anymore in this world. When people in the post-Avengers world, post-Dark Knight world, where everyone expects your pop culture nerd franchise to be launched leaps and bounds beyond what came before, it's like, yeah, just being meh, that was fine, isn't enough anymore.
That's true.
So do they bring it on themselves with the giant ad campaign and telling you it's going to be the greatest thing? Like Suicide Squad for like 2 years before it came out was showing you like
You're gonna get
shots
Suicide
and behind the
Squad ran out of
scenes.
me.
I mean,
Dude, the people that the people that program the soundtrack for Suicide Squad has ADD. They changed the song every like 15 seconds for the first 15 minutes of the movie. Is that pretty accurate?
Well, I mean, it was all music video heavy, pretty much. Just like, hey, we're gonna play some Queen, we're gonna throw some AC/DC in there, we're gonna throw some, other like any kind of like pop or rock trope. Just like, yeah, we're gonna have it in there, it's gonna be fine. And yeah, it just felt oversaturated. And
Remember liking it in Guardians? Here's more.
It was definitely lifting from Guardians a lot. They were kind of hoping to ride that train a little bit.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I watched the DC animated film Batman Assault on Arkham, and that's a Suicide Squad story, and it's fucking awesome. I'm just like, hey guys, you've already got everything written, you've already got everything scripted, it's all planned out, you've got everything storyboarded, motion storyboarded. All you gotta do is make this movie live action. That's all you gotta do. It has everything that the Suicide Squad movie has, and it does it all better. And I just don't understand how come we can't ever. Why the animation side is so much better than the live action side. I just don't get it.
That's a good question, Max. I don't understand it either.
I mean, but that's what happens anytime they take and they're going to make a movie on any kind of property that's not already a movie. I mean, books, video games, graphic novels with The Killing Joke. I mean, they just add another half an hour thing in the beginning. I mean, like, here, Super Mario Brothers the movie. What does that have to do with the games at all? You see, you could have just taken the games, made a happy little plot, made it all pretty, but no, you get drunk Bob Hoskins just wandering around, going, "Why am I here?"
He was a lot more than drunk on that set. But DC's kind of shot themselves in the foot, though, because they released Man of Steel, and while I think it's a really good movie, a lot of people didn't. So what do? They start getting you hyped up on Batman v Superman, and they release these awesome trailers and promote the hell out of the movie for like 3 years, and it comes out and it's lackluster. So what are they forced to do? They're forced to show you a Justice League trailer a year and a half early, saying, "Look, guys, we've added humor. You're gonna love it." Then it gets the hype going for a year and a half, hype that could never be, lived up to. It's not possible.
Yes, it could. Yes, it could. No, bullshit. Civil War had all the same hype. We had all the same crap crammed down our throats for the same amount of time, and they provided a good product.
But they didn't release the Civil War trailer until 6 months before the movie came out. We didn't get it a year and a half before it came out, because Justice League doesn't come out until next year in November.
But, I mean, we've known it's coming. Marvel always puts and they use their smaller movies to and hey, you got the little Civil War scene in Ant-Man. We've had all the little teaser stuff. You hear all the same stuff, and Marvel puts out a solid product pretty much every time, and DC can't put out a solid product.
Not just on DC's part, because for Marvel it's called having a plan, and everyone else. This ties into Ghostbusters too. Everyone else from DC to the X-Men stuff to Ghostbusters, it feels everything that they do with regards to we're building our own worlds. It feels very knee-jerk reactionary to everything that Marvel does. DC, on its part, feels like it's very much like saying, oh yeah, we can play this game too. We can keep stride with it. We can, keep the hype going for as long as Marvel does and hopefully wow them. And so far they really haven't done that. X-Men universe is basically just saying well, we want it so that you don't even have to think about those other Marvel movies. We're the ones who started it, the OG Marvel movies, bitch. And so they're still riding that train. And Ghostbusters is we can play this comic book game too, and trying to build up their own hype. Meanwhile, it's yeah, you've got a big shadow to crawl out from under first. But yeah, this whole shared universe idea is ridiculous when it comes to everything. What was it, 22 Jump Street and Men in Black? Jonah Hill shot that down. He's like, I don't think we're really going to do that. It's
I respect Jonah Hill. The comments he made about that. He's like, yeah, it was an idea I had, but it's never going to happen. It's too far. It's too out there.
The one shared universe idea that looks like it's going to gain some water, at least because it proved itself to be wildly entertaining from the get-go, is the idea of all these Lego movies coming out. Lego Batman, I hope, isn't the last Lego movie. From what I've seen of Lego Batman so far, it looks entertaining as hell. And Lego Movie, I really loved. It was one of my favorite movies of that year. So I hope they continue that, because that's a cool idea of not only branding a toy, but being creative with expanding your idea.
I'd like to see the new Ghostbusters and the new Ninja Turtles team up in the comic books. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be fun. We did have a shared universe with Casper and Ghostbusters. Anybody see the Casper movie with Dan Aykroyd reprising his role?
Do the Ghostbusters catch Casper?
No, but they're in Casper. They come to their house.
Was a Casper movie?
That's bullshit.
I wish they did. God.
They locked his ass up with all the other fucking ghosts.
Do you know how depressing Casper is when you think about it? It's about a movie. It's a movie about a dead kid.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a theory that Casper's actually the ghost of Richie Rich?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that because it looks
and that he's
Richie Rich.
Because he's atoning for all his sins in life because he lived in excess and now he's just stuck in the afterlife.
The depressing part is that you're a dead kid stuck with your abusive uncles for the rest of eternity.
The Richie Rich theory sounds like it should be like on a pamphlet that people come to your door and give you.
Have you heard the word about
the good
Casper?
news- have you heard the
He
good
lived
news
in
of our Lord and
excess,
Savior,
and
Richie?
now.
What's that, Max?
Have you heard the good news of our Lord and Savior, Richie Rich? He lives on forever.
As a ghost, atoning for his sins.
So can you atone for your sins forever.
We went from female Ghostbusters to
Sounds like a
Suicide
horrible
Squad
group.
rants to Casper. That's pretty fun.
I think what we're all trying to say here is it's no surprise that Ghostbusters won't be getting a sequel. To bring
Pretty much.
Especially when we're pitching all these other great ideas out there. Give me the fuck Ghostbusters. Give me my Richie Rich to Casper saga.
Hey, George, I got a question for you. What did you think of the all-female Ghostbusters? You prefer a male cast, I assume?
I enjoyed it immensely. I do wish that one of them was living an alternative lifestyle, though, so that I could complain about it and how it wasn't true to Ivan Reitman's original vision.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad you've joined our show, George. It's been a pleasure having you on. But, Jesus. Moving
George, I
on.
think you're being a little hard on yourself.
Well, you can make it up to me by checking out one of the many selections at audible.com that I narrate.
Wow. Jesus. Thank you, George, for bringing that up. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/3geeks, and you can listen to George talk to you for hours and hours and hours. But fans were treated to the second Rogue One trailer this week, and we got the glimpse of what we've all wanted to see in this movie at the very end of the trailer. And I'm going to let Max kind of start off with his thoughts because he's the Star Wars guy.
No, I liked it. It's a solid trailer. It gives you a little more into the movie. You kind of see, some more shots of Donnie Yen, some more Forrest Whitaker, looking like crazy hobo warfighter man. No, I liked it. We saw the little Darth Vader teaser trailer at the end there, tiny little half second of Darth Vader there. Sure, why not? Except with Darth Vader, it's like it's kind of how they treat Wolverine in all these movies. You just want to see him go nuts, and you fear that they won't ever do it. I want to, if they're putting Darth Vader in the movie, I want to know why people are afraid of Darth Vader. They don't ever do a good job of showing you that. Like, they show you that he's ruthless and he's like willing to bring his own son, in to get killed by his boss, but they never show you like why people are afraid of Darth Vader. So if they're bringing him in the movie, then fucking don't have him just stand around and force choke somebody. I want to see him like lay waste to an entire army of people and just lightsabering people left and right. That's what we got to see. If you're gonna pull out the gun, you got to use it. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it looks fun. It looks interesting. I don't know. I can't wait for it to come in $100 million under its projected earnings, like every other movie apparently is doing this year. So, but no, seriously, I hope it does well because they're getting good storytellers wrangled into the process. So, or at least interesting storytellers. So, I hope it does well.
Mr.
Oh,
Dan?
Rondell.
Oh, Rondell.
Or Dan.
Actually, I haven't seen it yet, so I gotta watch it. Me and the trophy are still in mourning over Kim Baker, so.
The trophy hasn't watched the trailer yet?
We've been in mourning, so.
Oh my god, we should have the trophy react to the trailer.
It just sits there. Because it's a fucking trophy.
Okay, we'll do that.
Dan, your thoughts on the Star Wars Rogue One trailer?
I like the trailer a lot. It looks like it's getting a little more down and gritty, and I like that. And I was gonna write his name down because I just watched the trailer a couple times before we started this, and I thought, I'll remember his name. The guy that did the score for this one, and I forgot it. But but it sounds like awesome. Like I like the John Williams method in here of using like Wagner's leitmotif. This is why you get all these different themes for everybody. I like how they change it a little bit, but not too much. So you know what theme it is, but it's just tweaked a little bit because it's not the first property. It's a side thing. But I think the trailer's really friggin' sweet, and I'm hyped for the movie.
Yeah, if this is Disney's way of kind of making a prequels, kind of get people's minds off of the previous prequels, make Darth Vader badass again, and just kind of reestablish that prior universe, they did a good job with this trailer at convincing me that they're going to do it. It looks like it's going to be something special. What's that, Mike?
You say that now, but then when Darth Vader says "wizard" at one point during a lightsaber fight, you're going to regret that.
Or
Or even if he, there's a lot of beaches in the trailer too, so he could just be like, "I don't like sand."
where is Padme? Oh my God, those are so bad.
Gritty.
That just reminds me of Spaceballs when they're combing the beach.
We ain't found shit.
Dude, when we all get together this Christmas to do the Star Wars Christmas special, we should do a commentary for one of the prequels. Maybe start with episode 1 and then 2 and then 3.
What are you, some kind of fucking masochist?
We're gonna be all hanging out drinking, so I mean that'll be fun, right?
No. I'm sorry. No.
Man.
That would not be wizard.
All right, that is our topics for today. Max, you got anything in comic book news by any chance?
Are we gonna talk about Preacher anytime? Did you read it?
What's that? Yeah,
Preacher.
you want to talk about it?
I thought we were gonna talk about it at some point in time. Everybody else read it.
I read the first 4 books.
All right, let's talk about it. Go, Max.
Preacher, written by Garth Ennis, right? Yes. And who does the art on that, Dan? Do you have the book nearby?
Yes. Hold on, because we are always prepared here.
I didn't think Jason was gonna call my bluff.
Yeah. Steve Dillon.
Steve Dillon
He's
does
the
a great
main
job.
artist.
Preacher tells the story of Jesse Custer, who gets struck by an angel demon, and he gains the word of God. Anytime he says something, you have to do it. So like throughout the story, he tells like people to go count all the grains of sand on a beach and stuff like that, and they just have to sit there and do it. But he goes on a road trip to find God and make him answer for, how come everything's so fucked up in the world. So it's a pretty crazy, zany ride. The first book kind of just barely introduces you to some of the characters, but it's a lot of fun. Dan, how did you feel about the first book?
Yeah, this is like premier Garth Ennis. I mean, I know him from his run on John Constantine Hellblazer, which was phenomenal. This is no different. I mean, I love the fact that through the story, at least as far as I've read, like God is almost afraid to talk to Jesse, and he keeps running away. Also, there's a whole lot of horrific side ventures. You get to meet Jesse's family, and they are horrifying. What else? Oh yeah, the Saint of Killers. That dude is
Killers.
awesome.
The Saint of Killers is probably my favorite character.
He just, I mean, you can't kill him. He doesn't feel it when you shoot him, and he just mows everybody down. He's like buried in Boot Hill. Yeah, he's like complete badass, like everything you wanted to see from a spectral western. Think of like Clint Eastwood in Hang 'em High, except more badass. Or Hang 'em High and High Plains Drifter. But yeah, it's a good book. I mean, it's quite solid.
Yeah, I found myself enjoying it as well. I really liked the artwork in it, and one of the things that as I was reading, it was like, wow, I can't wait to watch the television show. But after reading it and talking to people that have seen the television show, like, it is extremely split. The people that like the show love the show, and the people that don't like the show hate the show. And a lot of people that have actually read the book don't like the show. And Max, you watched some of the show, right?
Yeah, I watched a few episodes, and I'm not a fan. Well, Mike, have you read Preacher? Are you a fan of the book at all?
An issue here or there. I never really followed the full run. It sounded like a fun idea, and I like a lot of Garth Ennis' other stuff. I like The Boys, and his run on Punisher during the Max stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Preacher. It sounds like there were a lot of interesting themes and cool characters. I just never had it in me to devote time to that run. I will though now, based off of all the wonderful things you guys are saying.
No, yeah, it is really good. The TV show, it's like they took all the characters' names, and Jesse Custer is a preacher, and that's pretty much all that they have in common. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm not a fan, really. There's a lot of they do the Gotham thing where there's just like that kernel of goodness inside a big old pile of shit. And you keep on thinking, and maybe they'll start like scraping some of this shit away and reveal the golden goodness that's inside, but it just never really gets around to it. They have a crazy scene in there, like it's straight out of Kingsman. That was really fun, and I think people will like see the awesomeness of that, and they just hold on to it, and they're like, well, the rest of the show is good because this thing was so good, and it's not the case. The show isn't very good, and it doesn't follow the. You can watch the show, and then you can still read the comic book, and you'll be completely surprised. Except, actually, you would still be surprised by everybody's name, because the casting isn't even anywhere close to what the people look like in the comic book either, which doesn't bother me anyway, but, it's just one thing on top of all the other things. So, yeah, you can watch the show and then read the comic book, and they're two wholly separate things, except for all the names are the same.
Wow. That was very well articulated. But speaking of Gotham real quick, so I was with my wife at McDonald's, and I go through Facebook all the time, and you see pictures of Gotham, and you hear stories about Gotham, and they make you almost want to watch it, but then you remember that it's Gotham. Like I think it was Mr. Freeze. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Maybe I should watch it. And then I realized, no. I should not watch this.
Why don't you just chill out?
I will admit, B.D. Wong rocks a cool beard for Hugo Strange, and that's about it.
See, Hugo Strange is one of the villains I thought they would have in there from the get. Like he's one of the guys. Like you can see a scarecrow there because it takes a long time to become a doctor and a master of fear. You can see the Hugo Strange because it takes a long time to become this crazy psychologist. Who fucks with people in all the ways that Hugo Strange does. They played it all wrong for the show, and don't watch Gotham. Don't get sucked in. It's bad. That one needs to go. We need to get it. We need to get a refresher. We get a new Batman in there, something that's watchable. I don't got any suggestions for you right off the top of my head, but just cut Gotham and we can work on the rest later.
Dude, get Jeremy Irons in there for just an Alfred series. I could follow Jeremy Irons' Alfred for a whole couple of seasons.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Now we are talking.
But the way Gotham would do it is they would bring in Jeremy Irons, but have him reprise his role from Dungeons and Dragons. And
that would probably make me watch that show even more, though.
Oh, yeah, but not because it's quality entertainment.
If you're watching us live, send in your tweets at 3 Geeks Podcast. We'll get them read on the air. But yeah, that's pretty much our topics for today. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about? For some reason, I feel like we're missing something. Where's Karf? Is he coming on to discuss any sports or anything?
No, he said he wouldn't be on until 9, so I think I'm going to try to do a Sports Nerds special. Sans Philip.
Got you.
Actually, I got some news. I don't know. We didn't touch upon this, did we? That thing that Jason Mewes mentioned that he wasn't supposed to mention at Wizard World. Kevin Smith directing Supergirl.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kevin Smith's going to direct an episode of Supergirl. There we go.
I kind of saw that coming, and I guess a lot of people are hoping that Kevin Smith is going to get a hold of Arrow too, because I guess he did a run on Arrow with a pretty popular villain in the comic books that people want to see make it onto the show. But Kevin Smith doing anything is awesome, and that reminds me, next week we're going to finish off our Kevin Smith series with Red State and Tusk, so I'm finally going to have to sit down and watch Tusk, so that should be pretty fun. But Max, Supergirl, Kevin Smith, is that enough to make you watch the show again?
No. I actually, in listening to a lot of Kevin Smith podcasts, I realized, like, I don't actually like a bunch of Kevin Smith stuff, and me and Kevin Smith disagree on a lot of stuff, too. You know, but he's still great. Like, I don't want to take away from him. But, yeah, no, I don't like Supergirl. I don't think I will like Supergirl. You know, just because Kevin Smith directed one episode, that's not enough to, you know, even put his stamp on it. And so it's not really even him doing it, you know? So, yeah, that's not going to get me into Supergirl. He did a run on Green Arrow in the comic books, and that was an okay run. People, I think, give it a little more credit than it deserves. And he did a run on Daredevil that I absolutely didn't like. So, you know, he's not infallible, or you know, at least to me. And yeah, again, it's only one episode, so you know, we'll see how that goes.
The trouble is too with the villain he introduced in Green Arrow. I believe it Automatopoeia is the name of the character. That's a hard villain to write for.
That was his Batman run. That was.
Was that No, I thought Green Arrow, or I thought Automatopoeia was a Batman villain, or a Green Arrow villain. Sorry.
No, he was definitely in his Widening Gyre and Cacophony Batman run.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the one I knew about. It's like Automatopoeia being like the sound effects in real life. He would actually say the sound effects of things in real life or something like that. I'd be interested to see how they could do that for TV, but whatever.
I mean, it would just be a guy like,
Police
pew,
Academy.
pew, pew, pew. You know, like, it'd be fucking dumb. Like,
Need him on the musical episode.
Get Michael Winslow in there to do it.
There you go.
Okay, if it were Michael Winslow, I'm down. But that's the
Michael
only
Winslow
guy
deserves
who-
to work.
Yeah, no, you're right. Michael Winslow is Onomatopoeia. The only way that flies.
That actually would be some genius casting, now that you think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You guys can, Warner Brothers, just send your check to Rondell in care of 3 Geeks Podcast. He will
I ain't
accept
sent
it.
shit to Rondell, except for this foot when I kick his ass this year in fantasy football.
I have the trophy. Just start up the league so you can lose again. This time, get my name plaque ready.
The trophy's got its own bedroom in Rondell's house. He moved one of the kids to the basement.
It's about to be another empty room. An empty room full of sadness.
Okay. Tell Mom to pat you on the back. Put you to bed in your tears.
All right, we're talking about Kevin Smith. So yeah, this kind of news makes me excited because
Really?
Kevin Smith is dabbling more and more in the Flash and Supergirl. Maybe we could see Kevin Smith doing a show running one of these series. Which it begs the question: who would you guys want to see Kevin Smith do a series on?
I don't think that's gonna happen, but
Could.
Hypothetically,
What's the worst
Yeah.
that can happen?
Yeah, you could take over Gotham. There you go.
Yeah.
Nah.
Just rebranded as Kevin Smith's Gotham.
there you go.
I want to see Kevin Smith doing Kevin Smith things. I have a lot of issues with Kevin Smith stuff. It's a little too weepy for me all the time. Everyone's always just like crying and talking about their problems all day, and it's kind of shitty half the time. So, I mean, again, like this guy's obviously way more talented than me. He's done plenty of stuff, but I just I'm not interested to see it. I don't think he does a great job on it.
Dan, Supergirl, Kevin Smith, what do you think?
I would happily watch Supergirl if it was on one of the streaming things that I have, but it's not. So, sure, that sounds great.
It will be soon because now it's a CW show, and I believe CW shows go to Netflix.
Yeah, like a year after they debut.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Who
All right,
knows?
let's go to Rondell and his hatred of DC. Your thoughts?
It won't get me to watch it. I don't watch it now. Kevin Smith being on it won't help. So, like I said, he'd be better off taking over Gotham and hope somebody else watches it but me. But no, won't matter.
All right, Rondell, I got a question for you. I meant to ask you this during the Ghostbusters talk. What do you think of an all-male reboot of Grey's Anatomy? What was that, Max?
I mean, like, it's got the Mallrats show coming up. Like, I'm interested to see how that goes because that's him doing his stuff in a TV scenario. So I mean, I'm interested to see how that goes. And if we get to like a Jay and Silent Bob TV show of some sort, that'd be cool too. But I don't know. But those, I just think Kevin Smith should stay away from Batman and Daredevil and Green Arrow. So.
Anybody have any other thoughts on that subject?
He is fun to hear talk
Absolutely.
about Batman on that.
Yes.
It's just like, but yeah, I'm gonna agree with Max. Like his stuff on Batman isn't the
Batman
best
himself.
at all. It's a little out. It's pretty off model actually, quite a bit.
I haven't read any of the comic books he wrote.
Kevin Smith made Batman piss himself, dude.
Nice.
And he brought back like one of my favorite old Batman girlfriends, Silver St. Cloud, for essentially nothing. So I was kind of like disappointed in that because I like Silver St. Cloud. So
Nice.
Wait. What's the context of Batman pissing himself?
It's actually it's a for real thing. In the scene in like year one where he fucking sets off that explosive for all the mobsters and like he's like, I'm Batman, I'm in town, and you guys gotta watch out. You know what I'm talking about, Dan?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's saying that, and this is actually a real thing. When the heat from that hits you, your body reacts in such a way where you just piss yourself just to keep yourself cool.
He says my bladder had a spasm.
Yes. He doesn't say I
was
pissed
the words.
myself, but yeah. So Kevin Smith made that happen.
Okay, I thought that Batman may have freaked out or something, and just...
And the fact that he's telling this to another superhero is kind of troublesome too.
So thank you for watching us. If you got tired of looking at our faces, I got good news for you. You can go to iTunes or Stitcher and listen to us there. You can download our podcast. Our feed is a little bit behind, but that's because our producer is out of town, so he will get the feed updated sometime this week. Also, subscribe to agree with some of the things we said. Do you disagree? Do you think Kevin Smith should write every single DC movie, or do you think that he shouldn't? Do you want to see him cry because The Flash's mom died? Let us know in the comments section below. Also, tonight's podcast was brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/3geeks. Max, tell them a little bit more about Audible.
Okay, Audible.com has got over 180,000 titles for you to choose from. You don't have to do any of the work. All you have to do is pick the book and then have this awesome literature read at you by famous voices like George Takei. Take it away, George.
Yes, check out the many audio treats available at audible.com. And be sure that when you're listening that you don't have a bladder spasm.
I don't know. If anyone's going to make me have a bladder spasm, it's George Takei.
And I don't even
I
know.
don't know how to feel about that.
Go check out Mike at youtube.com/Mike McGTV. Also, I want to send a thanks to George Takei for appearing and doing the intro to our podcast today. That was a lot of fun. Leave us a comment on iTunes.
Not the
rate
real
us.
George Takei for legal purposes.
I'm sure that they figured that out on their own, Max. Damn it! You just lifted the curtain, exposed the truth.
You're worse than that masked magician, man.
Hey,
It was a talking picture. It was magic.
The guy got upset when they made a character he played back in the day gay. So I'm just trying not to get sued over here, okay?
From everybody at the Three Geeks Podcast, have a great night. Bye.